So I wanted to do another one of these overhead scrim VOD review thingies where I look at a particular topic and show you guys what you should be looking for when you're doing your own VOD reviews with your teams. Last time I talked about positioning and the importance of positioning, and I didn't really know what the other topic was that I wanted to discuss next. And then my wife sends me this overhead view of a scrim Tooniverse recently did against Luau. And I had the perfect idea for what the topic for this video was going to be, and that is scrimming teams that are above your skill level, which is a very, very important thing. A lot of teams get better faster by playing opponents that are above their skill level. Now, it's not just that you scrim them. You can't just scrim them and magically get better. You have to actually look at what goes on in the scrim, why things happen the way they do, and learn from it like that. Splatoon is not working out, and wherein you are just kind of ripping your muscles, and then your muscles repair naturally, and you grow back stronger. Splatoon is more like school. You have to actually sit down and look at it and study, and it's not always fun, but you might just learn something if you pay attention. Tooniverse is a team that has made Gamma Bracket the last couple of low inks. Luau is a team that is banned from low ink because they won it back in August. And most recently, they finished in third place in high ink. So obviously, Luau, a team that is very, very above the, at least on the resume, very, very above the skill level of Tooniverse. Now, it's not just, like I said, it's not just that you play a team, it's what you actually learn. So what we're not focusing on is the fact that Luau stomps Tooniverse in a good chunk of this scrim, but we're going to focus on what flaws are being exposed by Luau to Tooniverse, so that Tooniverse can learn from those certain things and move forward. So I'm going to point out three things in particular that I found over the course of the scrim. First off, before we get into that, there's one thing I want to point out. A lot of you guys, when you do a scrim, and it blows my mind that so many people do this. You don't just have to pick like a random map and mode. Like, you don't just have to do Rainmaker and let God decide which one of these 23 maps you you do. And they don't do that here. Like, there's obviously a preset list. Like Mako Mart Splat Zones was predetermined. But it blows my mind how many times I join a scrim lobby and it's just like, oops, we're doing Rainmaker at Moray Towers. I can't believe, like, no, you don't. Like, you should have a list, even if I think this is like the high ink map pool. I think that's what they're practicing here. But even if you're just, there is no map pool to work on, like, you know what maps you suck at. Like, you can pick the map that you want to do. No more of these random scrim map things. And if you're going to do random scrims, take out Moray, take out Arowana, take out Walleye, Triggerfish, and Kelp Dome. Like, take out the non-viable maps. But, like, pick the maps you actually want to work on. Nobody's going to be upset with you if you just predetermine a map. I promise you. That's just a gripe, not really related to this. Okay, so three things we're going here. We're going to 48. Where's that sucker at? And I'm not sitting here trying to be like breaking down everything. I'm just kind of showing you guys what you should in particular be looking for when you're doing a VOD review. This isn't meant to be coaching. This is just meant to be more of guiding. I'm not going to give the answers, but just kind of give you a sense of what you should be looking for. First off is the opening. And the opening here is fine. You have the junior and CDS going to the plat. You have the L3D and the splash. This L3D, I believe, is Yam, and this is Panda, and the clue is on the splash here, and obviously that is Miss Popgun on the junior. So here, okay, cool. This is what they thought. Let's send two people here, two people there. That's fine. If you look at the top of the screen, Luau did the same exact thing to an extent. Sent 2 people to their drop, 2 people to their plat. So this opening is viable. The problem is the execution, and I want you to keep an eye on Yam and Clue down here at the drop. So Clue goes off this ramp like it's a sled and just kind of lands right in the middle. I don't know why they did this. Yam has no clue either, because when we go back and watch it again, Yam just kind of goes up here and then goes back and then goes up. So there's clearly some indecision here, and I don't know why Clue just dropped right down in the middle. And I guarantee you, Sir Skit and Greet have no idea either, but they are salivating at the bit, because this is a cookie right here. Sir Skit, a really insane frontline slayer using Galugas right here. Green Tea, arguably the best player in this lobby right now, are just looking at a 2v0. Like, these two are fighting Clue, and Clue is not fighting back. The best case scenario here is that Clue dies a quick and painful death, which they do. And that kind of sparks a chain event here of things. Kami and Cat here, and Cat being in a position on this ramp that just kind of arc down shots from the Dynamo, which works out really well. Kami being an annoying housefly, keeping everybody's attention on him. But Sir Skit here, after they kill Clue, circles back around and starts shooting at Yam right here, the L3D. This is important because this forces everybody on Tooniverse into this circular area where there's just so much death raining down onto, I guess, this little left plat area here. And what that creates is Panda dies as well, and now it's a 2v4 situation. Tetras takes down the CD, or the junior, and then it's a 4v1. They just eliminate Yam. And at this point, the game is 100% over. Luau literally wins on this push right here. So we don't need to go back and look at all of it. But again, what's the takeaway here from Tooniverse? And this is why scrimming higher teams is important, because this opening is probably something Tooniverse has done 100 times now. And again, the opening is fine because it's basically the same opening that Luau is busting out here. The difference is the execution, and they probably got away. I would assume that in the past, Clue ran off this ramp and jumped in the mid, and it worked out against the low ink team that didn't have confident slayers right here that felt like they could rush this. Or maybe Yam like normally comes around here to this right side, and Clue is just kind of like skirmishing in the mid, and then Yam just kind of goes back around here and fights these two guys while they're distracted trying to kill Clue. But that's clearly not the case right here. It's that Clue just goes down there, and once again you see Yam just kind of like going back and forth, not really doing anything. So this is a flaw the better team Luau is exposing right here. Again, the opening idea is fine, just the actual execution of it is bad, and this one mistake, Clue dying right here, the game is over. Just because it sparks this chain reaction. Luau is so good at forcing everybody else into a bad situation. They get the full team wipe without losing a single player. Game over. Next game. We're looking at 58 here. Right? Nah, maybe back it up a little bit. Back it up. We're just looking at the opening of this one. This is Tower Control at Shipyard. Very nice map. One thing to note out, Yam is now out of the game, and they have brought in an anchor player, Texture. And the one thing I want to point out about this one is the opening, once again, that Tooniverse is using here as we get going. So, you see Clue and Miss Popgun are hanging back. Miss Popgun is building up for armor. Clue is building up for missiles. There is a very obvious intent that this is their game plan to start things out. And they do just that. Armor gets popped really quick. Missiles get flung out. And lo and behold, a player does die. So they do get the first pick off of this. This is good, right? No, it is bad. But once again, this is probably the same opening they've been doing for a long time, and it works against a weaker opponent, and it actually works to get a kill right here. But if I let this play for another 10 seconds, or another 30 seconds, I guess, this tower is already at the second checkpoint. So why does that happen? Well, let's go back and look at this. Let's go back and look at this push opening one more time. We can get to the right spot. So armor gets popped. Can I just back this up like 10 seconds? I don't know. So what? But the point is, why does armor get popped? You pop armor because you're going to be going into a fight, right? Or you're going to be trying to push up into an area. So armor got popped right here. Look who's trying to go in and engage into a fight. Nobody. In fact, the other person who would, if you're just looking at your two slayers, assuming those are the only two that are going to try to engage something, Clue is still back here firing off missiles, and Panda is not doing anything. Now Panda's starting to move up, but at this point, armor's basically done. Now, yeah, the missiles are nice because they kind of discombobulate them, but the sense is like, okay, what if you fired missiles to get them moving, then as everybody's starting to move up, then you pop that armor, and then you got something you can work with here. But ultimately, Green Tea dies, and Texture is the one who kills Green Tea. And it's funny because they get 2 assists off. I'm assuming a missile landed that weakened Green Tea, and Texture had like ink armor on, so that's why Miss Popgun gets this credit for that as well. I think Texture's the one who gets the actual kill, but 3 people get a 1 in the kill column, even though 1 player died. But once again, that was their opening. They used double specials, and the idea was fine. The execution was bad though, because once that didn't completely work, and then they rushed tower, and again against a weaker opponent, they're used to this working, so they're thinking like, oh well, we can just hop on tower because our specials worked and we killed somebody. Well, 1 player dies. Everybody kind of gets sucked down here at the bottom of tower. Green Tea's coming back in, and then everybody's getting into position. Players die, 2 players die, and then it's just steamroll city from here. So there needs to be, first off, there needs to be better execution at the beginning, right? Missiles need to be popped first, not armor, because Clue is now wasting armor time being all the way back here instead of actually engaging. Second off, there needs to be like a better idea. Is like, okay, our opening didn't work, so we don't need to dogpile onto tower right here. There's no reason to ride tower right here in this situation, other than to just kind of get yourself out of position so that you can die as they do that. And again, if this was a lower level opponent, that might have worked. But Luau is too smart and too mechanically skilled for that they punished that overextension onto the tower quickly. Green Tea, who died, comes back in and immediately gets a triple, and now is going to be pushing up into their base, and Cat's just like falling asleep on the tower. Maybe I'll just fling some ink back here in mid, I don't know. And that's basically over at that point. One more thing we want to look at. What is that, 45? Another thing, when you're playing a team that is above your skill level, and you get in a situation like this, where you have the lead and it's late, you might be like overly excited, and you're like, oh, how do we get this win here? And you make a play, instead of making plays to win the game, you get kind of nervous and you make plays to not lose the game. So right here, this situation right here, instead of just taking the Rainmaker and backing it up and just trying to hold on to it for like another 15 seconds or so, they try to push it down here through the elbow. Let me back up and just kind of show you. Yeah, so like right here, about 30 seconds left to go. They kill a player, which is great. They kill 2 players, 2v4 situation. Instead, they grab Rainmaker and just try to push it. You see the 2 Slayers pushed up here to the elbow. I have no idea why. But they didn't just grab it and try to back up with it. Again, free melee here, grabs it. I believe that's Panda and doesn't back up. They're trying to force it here. And then the junior player, the last player alive in a 1v3 is attacking the Rainmaker shield. I think the mindset here is this is the first time we can beat these guys in a scrim. That shows improvement. We got to make a play somehow to do it. That's when you're tunneling on that, you forget that you're in a 1v3 situation. Another issue right here is this push the luau is. Now they're getting set up for this push, and all 4 players for Tooniverse are right here. And I have VC, and I'm not going to listen to it. I can already tell what they're saying. They're just saying, "What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do?" And you can just see it in their play. Clue like backs up down here, and then like, I don't know, maybe I should go back. I don't know, maybe paint a little bit. And it's like nobody is making the play. If this was a weaker opponent, Tooniverse would be playing this differently. Somebody would come down here and try to flank to try to kill them, or B, more importantly, to put pressure on them to possibly move forward where there is a splat bomb from the junior waiting for them. If this was a weaker opponent, they would feel more comfortable doing that kind of play because they know they can win. But if they're playing a tougher opponent like Luau, their mindset might not be in the right place, and they might think, oh, I can't win this 1v1, so I need to just stay back here. Instead, all 4 players, nobody tries to make the winning play. Instead, they all just sit here and hope somebody else does. And Cat is just like, well, if you guys aren't going to do anything, I'm just going to come here and kill you. And then Coffee just kind of walks right into the lead, untouched. So once again, this is the mindset you might have when you're playing a team that is above your skill level. But if this was a team that was lower than them, that ending might have been a little bit different. And if that ending was different, this is bad. This is good. This is good that this is happening. This is a scrim. There's nothing on the line. This doesn't count towards a win-loss record or anything. But Tooniverse gets to learn this lesson in this environment. I don't want to loop that. So that's a great thing. That's the beauty of scrims and why scrimming a team above you is important. So if you're Tooniverse, or if you're not Tooniverse and you have your own film playing against a tougher team, as you're looking back at these, you're looking at the plays that just kind of where, and you're identifying the plays that where the entire game goes wrong, the one key play where it all goes wrong, and you look at what you're doing. I don't believe in the mindset of looking at, well, I want to play the opponent so that I can like learn what their comp is and what that does. No, Luau is a Tetris team. How a Tetra team works is completely different from how this comp works. It's not the same thing. You can't replicate what Luau does. And that's not what Tooniverse is doing here, obviously. But I mean, I hear a lot of people say things like, oh, we should scrim a team to figure out what they do. That's why you scrim a tougher team, is to figure out what they do. No, you scrim a tougher team because they expose your flaws that you can get away with when you play a lower level team. But when you play a team that is skilled and knowledged and experienced like Luau, it's not going to work. And that is where you learn. It forces you to grow. And that is why it is important to play teams above your skill level. And if you don't look at it from this mindset, if you just do a scrim just to get bodied without actually thinking why getting bodied is helpful or important, then you're ultimately, in my opinion, just wasting an hour and 17 minutes of your time that you could be using to listen to the podcast.